Hello everyone, Neve here, and today I have a hashtag to do, a tarot tag. So today I kind of had open on my schedule on a video, and I was just gonna put a pick a card video in there. That's kind of my go-to filler videos, but I saw this awesome tag, and I saw it on a different channel first. I think it's feeding my soul, feeding your soul, or something like that, and I'll put the name on the screen. But they're not the original creator. The original creator was someone named simply_Han. And this is a really fun tag. So it's matching tarot decks with emojis, and these are 10 pre-selected emojis with prompts that go along with it. And I added one at the end, a little bonus emoji, because that's how I roll. All right, so the first prompt is the paint palette, and this is a deck with your favorite art. So I chose, I got the bag right here. I chose the Gourmet Tarot. I love the bag that I made for it. Super cool. So let me grab I just already had the deck out. So the Gourmet Tarot, the art in this is really, really cool. Edging is okay. It's gilded edging. It doesn't hurt really. It's not like that kind of edging, but it's, it is what it is. Let me see if I can focus this a bit. There we go. All right. So, so the style of art in this deck, it does not want to stay focused though, it's very anime art, anime food art, which I really, really like. And the creator did such a good job on these. It's really, really like I can almost taste this food, looking at this, and I kind of get a little sucked in on this, and it's so smartly done. Like, it's not just food, it makes sense. We got a food cart here, that says ramen in Japanese. We got a food cart here for the chariot. That makes a ton of sense, and scales for justice. It just makes sense. 8 of Wands, we got a whole bunch of skewers in some sort of dish here. It's a whole bunch of them, so it's like a chaotic sort of energy. And there is a lot you can really read into it too. So I don't know. I really like this. And for the 10 of Cups, we have a shared punch bowl. And, there's 10 cups. It's for everyone around to share and enjoy in this prosperous energy. That's very 10 of Cups. A temperance. This art is just stunning. I love it. We got some simple ones. I love this for the moon. And the 2 of Wands is chopsticks here. I just fondue. We're kind of for the 5 of Wands. This kind of competition energy. Everyone's kind of fighting over the fondue stuff. It's just really smartly done, and the art is beautiful. And I just love anime food art. It's just especially that the Ghibli art, and you see the Ghibli food, and it's just wow. And my favorite card in this deck, here's the extra card. It's the fortune cookie. I kept that one in. I don't often leave in the extra cards, like the bonus cards, but sometimes I do. Caviar for the 10 of Pentacles. We get that. So my favorite, I love this death card. And here it is. This is my favorite card, I think, in the deck, and I just think this is really cool. Yeah, I like that. All right. Anyway, so that is a deck with my favorite art, and that is for the paint palette emoji, and that is the Gourmet Tarot. So the next prompt is the book emoji, and this is obviously the best tarot book or guidebook. And this was kind of tough for me, and the main reason is because I don't really care for a lot of tarot books, because a lot of them for me kind of get a little too repetitive, and I do like some that has a different perspective, but I ended up picking a behemoth. I chose the Holistic Tarot by Benabel Wen, and talk about a Bible of tarot, you know, and it's just like there's so much to this. And truth be told, I have not, you know, really gotten far into this book. I'm still like, this is page 2, but I do have a reading disability, so it's actually very difficult for me to read. Especially large texts. Like I can read. I can read the physical words. I have a lot of trouble with comprehension with reading, and it's something I've always sort of struggled with. So anyway, so I don't do a lot, and it does take me an extremely long time to get through books. But like I like books like this that are just so comprehensive, and it's got exercises in here which really does help draw me in. I've bounced around in this book here and there. It's not just a book of here are the meanings, and I also love Benabel Wen's approach to almost anything, really. I like her methodical approach, you know, and that I have an easier time grasping. And so I don't know, I enjoy her style. I enjoy, there's lots of different spreads in here, which I really enjoy. And there's like graphs and things like that. I love this kind of stuff. You know, I don't know. There's a lot to it that you could really like dive into. So that's my pick for the best tarot book. And I'm going to put my bookmark back in here. This is from the Moon Crystal Tarot. It's an extra card that came with my deck when I got it. So I'm just going to pop this in somewhere. Right there. All right. All right. So the next prompt is the brain emoji. And this is a deck that makes you dive deep with thought. And I also wanted to choose one of my newer decks for this one. And I chose the Rain Shadow Tarot. I don't even have a bag for this. That's how new it is. So this is actually very, very new to my collection. But I have used it quite a bit. And I really, really love the art in this deck, the style of art. And, oh, this is upside down. That's the back. There we go. Yeah, it's just like this kind of art is the kind of art that connects to my brain. And I'm not sure that really makes sense, but it's... there's something deep about it. You know, there's something that my brain just like picks out all the little bits and pieces and the symbols, and there's something about it that I don't know. It feels cerebral to me, and I enjoy that. And I've used this deck quite a bit since I've gotten it. I wouldn't say it's in my favorites yet, but it's definitely a deck that I have to kind of sit and think about when I look at these cards. I mean, there are some cards that are pretty straightforward, or are WSy, or, you know, that, or don't stray too far from that. I mean, this feels like that too, but still there's other elements in this card that I can like dive into. And I love this Magician. The Magician is my favorite major arcana. My favorite tarot card is the 8 of Pentacles. And I don't remember what that one looks like in this one. Oh, and I like this Lovers. I mean, I don't know. It's just smartly done. And it's done in a way that I can really... I mean, look at this. We got for strength, instead of a person like handling the animal, the person is inside the animal, you know? And there's so much you can read into that depending on the reading. I mean, you can think of it as wearing a mask of anger when, you know, it really docile underneath. You can look at it that way, or you can like... It's almost the opposite of taming the beast within. It's sort of a taming the taming. What is the word I'm thinking of? There's a word I'm thinking of, but it's not coming to. It's not exiting my brain. So exiting my mouth. But yeah, I really enjoy this deck, and it is still very new to me. So I'm still getting to know it. There's still cards that pop up that I was like, oh, I haven't really experienced that card yet. So and there's cards like this where I feel like there's little bits and pieces that I'll see in each reading. You know what I mean? So anyway, that was the prompt was the brain emoji, and this is the Rain Shadow Tarot. Okay, so next up is the coffee emoji, or tea. I chose coffee, and this is a deck that is that feels cozy. A deck that gets you in a cozy mood, or a deck that's cozy. I didn't when I wrote down the prompt for this one, I just wrote deck cozy, so I can't remember exactly what the prompt was. But anyway, so this is ever so slightly a cop-out for me, because I feel like I've chosen this deck for this kind of prompt in lots of tarot tag videos. So it's probably old news or it's boring, but honestly, I couldn't think of a deck that fit this prompt better than this. And my most cozy deck, sorry, I bumped the camera. My most cozy deck is my Barkana Tarot. And it's just, this is a sweet deck. It's very positive. It's probably my most positive deck. You know, I don't, even the difficult cards in this deck are still sweet. And this is the bag I made for it. Here we go. Cute, huh? All right. I love the box for it. And I love the bags. Oh, there's got the business card there. All right. Yeah, so this is just a sweet deck. There's even the difficult cards in this deck are still done in a very sweet way. And it's a dog deck, you know, and I love cats just as much as the next person, but I am definitely a dog person. And focus, come on. I am definitely a dog person for sure. And I feel kind of like at home with dogs, because most of my life I have had a dog at one point or the other. This does not want to stay focused. I'm sorry. And, you know, there have been times that we didn't have a pet at all. And there were times that we just had a cat. But by and large, what I prefer is to have a dog. And I have a dog now. Her name is a Schilder. She's a Harrier Hound, which look like big beagles. A lot of people are like, oh, is she a beagle? She's huge for a beagle. And no, and in fact, this is these are beagles here. And whenever there's something dog related and find your breed or whatever, Harriers usually aren't on there, but my second choice is always to get beagle things, because, you know, Harriers look like big beagles. Come on, stay focused. So yeah, and so dogs just make me feel like home. And this is such a sweet, comforting, definitely skews positive. It's not a very balanced deck. It's a very positive deck. There aren't really tough cards. I mean, there are some cards where, you know, the dog looks like it might be in some pain. And even this one, the Three of Swords, it you know, it looks like he's playing with it's a toy, you know, but it's a toy that's been ripped and stuff. So yeah, I mean, you can look into it there like that, but it's just a very positive deck, and there aren't really negative cards in this deck, even the cards that are supposed to be kind of negative. So this is definitely a deck that I would go to for pick me up, for just to feel happy, and I don't want anything serious for my reading. I just want a simple little reading that skews positive. And there we go. So that is the Barkana Tarot, and that is my pick for it was coffee. That was my pick for the coffee deck. Okay, so the next one is the crossed swords emoji, or you could use like the skull emoji or something like that. And and it's basically a deck you use for ancestor work. And I originally wrote on my little note here, I have it right here. I originally wrote the Relative Tarot, but again, that sort of felt like a bit of a cop-out, because yeah, I mean, obviously that's my ancestor deck, but I kind of wanted to, like, in the last minute I saw this deck here, which I'm about to pull out, and you know, I think I just wanted to pull this one out. So that is the Pagan Otherworlds Tarot, and I am eventually going to make a bag for this. I mean, this bag is okay. It's the bag that came with it, but yeah, I've never really loved it. It's the company is Usi. Yes, love the box. I have never broken the seal on this, but so this deck is a deck that I use for ancestor work. Of course, the Relative Tarot is probably the top one because it's kind of designed for that. But this one is the kind of ancestor work that, and I don't do this often, so I don't actually use this deck very often. And part of it's because I really want to trim off all the edges that don't have words on them. But anyway, this deck feels very ancient to me. So this, you know, the kind of ancestors that I would be connecting to with this deck are very ancient ancestors, very primal, very, you know, the dawn of the world, you know, the dawn of humanity kind of people. And that's the feeling that I get from this deck, and why I really like it for more of that, like that ancient ancestor work. Yeah, like the type of ancestors that I'm not even related to anymore, because like I have none of their DNA really anymore. You know? So that's the kind of ancestors that I'm thinking about when I think of this deck, and when I pull this deck out. It's very primal, very ancient. Like the best word for this deck to me is ancient. Yeah, and it's very pagan-y, you know, very, I don't know how to describe that, but very pagan-y, you know, and, yeah, I mean, and it's got some elements to it that feel very, old world, Christian even, which, you know, it's tarot, so that makes sense, but still, it feels very old. And because of that, this is a deck that I really like to pull out for ancient ancestor work. And that did not want to focus. All right. So that is, let's put it up, leave it on this one, because this is a cool image. That is the Pagan Otherworlds, and that's my response to the cross swords / skull / whatever. And that is for a deck that I use for ancestor work. Okay, so next up is the Crystal Emoji, and this is a deck that has gilding that I really like. My favorite gilding. Yeah, so there's a few different decks I could have picked for this, but I'm trying to keep it to just one. And I'm also sticking to just tarot in this video, because there were a few prompts that I initially wrote down a deck, but it wasn't a tarot deck, and I don't think that's necessarily the rules of this tag or anything, but I don't know. I just felt like I should just stick with tarot. So I'm going to stick with tarot. But yeah, so I could have picked probably one of 3 different decks for this one, but I narrowed it down, and I went with the Pacific Northwest Tarot. And here is the bag that I made for it. All right. So this is a really, really nice deck, and I love the box on this. This is my favorite kind of box, the ones that open up all the way, because we saw the puppy one, the Barcana Tarot, and it opens to here, and that's okay. I'm okay with those style of boxes, but these ones are the best ones. So I know this isn't about the box. Let me get the deck out here. Yeah, so the gilding on this one, it's matte, and I've realized that I really like the matte gilding the best. And this is also why I could have picked the Squid Cake Tarot for this prompt, because that one also has matte gilding, and it's a mass market deck too, so that's pretty cool. But that one's really new within the past year, whereas this one I got a couple years ago, and the gilding has still stayed really, really nice. And I think matte gilding is kind of the way to go, you know. don't get me wrong, I do like some blingy, some bling blings, but the matte gilding on this is, I don't know, it just holds up better, if that makes sense. It doesn't chip as much. It I don't know, it doesn't scuff up as much. And also, the reason why I ended up choosing this deck at the end of it, oh, here's my favorite card in this deck. It is so stunning. But the reason why I ended up picking this deck over some of the others is because the color is so interesting. And I'm not sure that it's really picking up on camera. Let me see. It's really close to this bag that I made for it. Or the backs of this, which is like, the camera is not showing this very well, but it's kind of a really, really dark blue, really dark blue. And this one, the bag is just slightly lighter than it. But yeah, and it's such a unique color to choose, that I don't know. I kind of had to go with this one, and this is a really, really good deck. I like this deck a lot. Yeah, all right, so that is my pick for the Crystal Emoji, which is a deck with my favorite gilding, and that is the Pacific Northwest Tarot. Okay, so the next prompt is the island, and this one, I wasn't sure what this one meant, so I'm really glad I watched the original creator's video all the way through. Yeah, the island is your desert island deck, so like a deck, like if you were deserted on an island and you could only have one of your decks, which one would you bring? So that was a no-brainer for me. I went with the Anna K Tarot, and this is one of my older bags because I've had this deck for well over a decade. And yeah, the Anna K is kind of like, I don't want to use the term soul deck because I don't really like that term. I don't know it, but based on other people's understanding of a soul deck, I guess this would be my soul deck. You know, this is my own personal tarot deck. I don't use this deck to read for other people. I just use this for myself. I can use it for small questions or big questions. And yeah, I really, really connect with this deck, and it really does not want to stay focused, but I'll try to tilt this way. It seems to be doing a better job that way. All right, anyway. Yeah, and this deck is just so expressive. Yeah, my God, will you stop unfocusing? All right, let me see if moving some of this stuff out of the way helps with this a little bit. Or we can just keep it down here. All right, I'm just fiddling. Anyway, yeah, so, and I love the bold colors in this deck. The people in here, again, like I said, are so expressive, and there's so much emotions on their face. It's just a very versatile deck for me, and it's my own personal deck. It's a deck that it does feel deep for me. Like, I can fit this deck in almost every category. And so for me, this was a no-brainer. If I was stuck with just one deck and was stuck on a deserted island, what deck would I want to have? I would want to have my deck, my soul deck, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's for me. It's kind of my therapy deck. It's my... it's kind of a best friend even. Yeah, so I definitely would choose this one. And the bold colors just really jump out at me too and make me feel things. This is definitely a deck that makes me feel things, you know? So, yeah. All right. So, that is the Anna K Tarot, and that is my pick for my Deserted Island deck. Okay, so the next one is the moon emoji, and this is my wisest deck. And yeah, so I went with this one, which also has a moon on it, and this definitely influenced my choice here. But this is also a deck that I use for a lot of moon readings, especially full moon readings, and it's a deck that I have kind of informally connected to the goddess Brige, or Bridget, and that is the Anima Mundi Tarot. I absolutely love this deck, and I almost chose this deck for the best gilding, because as far as blingy gilding goes, this is definitely the best. Yeah, for sure. It's probably my favorite cardstock. But you know, it is gilded, so there is some chipping here and there, but it's like, it's such a soft gilding. This is not the kind of gilding that hurts your hands. Yeah, I love this deck so much, and especially shuffling this deck. I'm getting close to the camera, so sorry if the sound gets off a little bit like this. It shuffles like butter. Like, this needs to be the gold standard of cardstock. Anyway, this is not about the cardstock. So this is my wisest deck because, yeah, I don't know how to describe this. why it's the wisest. I think it's the very simple, the simple imagery of an animal, and it's deeply spiritual for me. This is a very, very spiritual deck. This is not really a deck that I would use for simple questions. This is definitely a deck that I would use for deeper questions. And it's a very spiritual deck for me. So I feel like I get wise words from this deck. And I do feel it very connected to the goddess Breege. This card is the devil card, is the only human animal in the deck, because humans are animals. So it's an animal deck, and the devil is the only human, and I love that. It's very poignant. It's wise. You know, it makes sense. This is their world, and we are kind of just, you know, crashing it and destroying it, you know. But yeah, it's just, there's so much in this deck, and this deck I connect to Breege because, one, it feels like her energy for me, and two, the season that I would connect this deck to is kind of that late winter Imbolc time, which is Breege's holiday. And a lot of it's because of cards like this, where it's not snow that we're seeing. We're seeing stars, but it kind of looks like snow. And there's a lot of that. And then there is actual snow. But, you know, some of these are in the jungle, so it's not snowy or wintry feeling or underwater. But still, somehow the energy, even in these jungly cards, feels very winter to me, or dark, the dark part of the year. And that is also a time of the year where we tend to go inward. We tend to get deeper and wiser, you know. And this is pretty similar to the brain prompt. The brain prompt was a bit more cerebral, whereas this one feels more spiritual, if that makes sense. So yeah, I love this deck. I really like the wands suit in this deck. Even though they're very pippy, but the wand suit it's just gorgeous. Like, oh, that's tough. Yeah, I love this deck. And it's definitely very, very wise. All right, so that is my pick for the moon. The moon emoji. And of course, I picked the deck that I use for a lot of moon readings, and that is the Anima Mundi Tarot. Okay, we got 2 more official prompts and then my bonus prompt. All right, so the next one is the plain emoji, and this is a travel deck. And this was no-brainer for me. This is my Morgan Greer tarot. So it's not the only tarot that I have that's in a tin, but it's the main one. Like, it's the main one that I use for travel. If I go out and about and I want to bring a deck, I pretty much always bring my Morgan Greer because it's nice and small. You know, it's the in a tin version. I love the bag that I made for it. I just think I did a pretty good job matching the colors here. I mean, it's hard to get the exact colors, but I had this material that was just awfully similar to the tin. But anyway, yeah, so this is a classic. There's not much more I can really say about it. It's a nice classic deck. I love the bold colors. And that is something that I'm really drawn to. I am really drawn to bold colors. Very primary, red, orange, yellow, green, well, blue, yeah, and purple. I mean, I just did the rainbow there, but like red, yellow, and blue. You know, very primary colors. Yeah, and it's very like the thick line work, the thick black line work really helps me draw attention to the imagery. And of course, all the bearded mustached men in here make me think of men of a certain generation, like my dad, my uncles, that sort of thing. So there's that sort of connection that I have with this deck. And it's just a solid reader. So it's probably one of the ones that I would just keep by my side. If I could only keep a few decks, this would probably be one of them. Love that one. Yeah. And it's just, it's a travel deck. So I like this one specifically for travel. Now, I could have picked one of my newer decks, which is the Mildred Payne Secret Pocket Oracle. But again, that one's not a tarot, so I didn't pull that one out. But I've been really enjoying bringing that one with me out and about as well. So that's my pick for the plain emoji tarot, and that's my travel deck. Okay, so the final official prompt is the ribbon emoji, and this is a deck that was gifted to you, and I have so many that I could have chosen. And again, I almost put the Cowlet cards. In fact, that's actually what I wrote on the on my note right here. But then I was like, oh, I want to stick to just tarot for this prompt. So I decided to go back to the drawing board and look at my decks and see which one, because there's several that were gifts. Which one do I want to pull out? And I pull this one out a lot, and I'm sure people are really sick of it, but I don't care, and that is the Star Trek Tarot. Yeah, so this was a deck that was a gift from my husband, and I absolutely love it. So here's the thing. I am a massive Trekkie. I always have been, since I was little. I have always been a massive fan of Star Trek. And, yeah, and that has not changed. I mean, we watch Star Trek almost every single day. Right now we're rewatching DS9, Deep Space Nine, with two of my daughters. My middle daughter she likes some Star Trek, but not a lot of it. So she hasn't been watching it with us, but my youngest and my oldest has already seen DS9, but she's watching with us. But it's the first one for my youngest, and she loves it. She really loved TNG, and she loved Enterprise, which I was kind of surprised by. A lot of people, that doesn't tend to be people's favorite, but I like Enterprise, but yeah, and she also likes the newer Star Trek, and of course this deck is the original series, and my youngest has not seen the original series yet. I don't think my oldest has seen it either. It's a bit tough to get through, and it's, it was made in the 60s, so there's some really outdated stuff, but one thing that Star Trek has always been is progressive. That said, it's made by people who exist, in the time that, it's created. So each iteration of Star Trek does have its issues that you could look back on from future viewings. That's, like, ooh, that's a little problematic, that it happens. And there's definitely that sort of stuff here in the Star Trek, or the original series, for sure, because it's made in the 60s. So, but I think a lot of what they were mostly focusing on in the original series was racial issues, because it was the 60s, so that makes sense that was the main issue. And it's funny because you look at Star Trek from like the 90s and stuff, and a lot of the issues are around there's a lot of like gay rights kind of episodes, and which makes sense, and as per usual, Star Trek is early to do that kind of stuff, and that's one of the many reasons I love Star Trek. And it's always been progressive. It's always been progressive values, not always perfect. It is made by people, and it's a franchise, so there's capitalist elements to it. But the best Star Trek's episodes and series are the ones that really tap into current issues and have a progressive take on something that maybe isn't as popular. But anyway, I could talk forever about Star Trek. I don't have the TNG one, Star Trek deck. The one by Insight Editions. That one was so lazily done. I love. We'll leave it on Kirk and the Tribbles here. The trouble with tribbles. But yeah, I don't have that one because I don't know. There's a lot of issues I have with that that deck. I love TNG. Don't get me wrong. I just hope the creator of this deck does other series in the franchise, because this is amazing and he did such an amazing job. But this is a deck that was given to me as a gift, and this was given to me by my husband. And there we go. That is the Star Trek Tarot. Okay, so my bonus prompt. I'm going to get a little cheeky here, and I am choosing the eggplant emoji. And that is my prompt for the last one. And I'm going to put the prompt meaning as question mark, because I'm going to let, like, if anyone wants to add the eggplant emoji to their prompt, you can do that. And you can come up with your own prompt for that. You can go in some directions, or you can go in a different direction. And I am going to go against what people are probably going to think that I mean by the eggplant emoji. And I'm going to go in a completely different direction. And I've pulled out my Goblins and Gardens. Yeah, this is the Goblins and Gardens Tarot. So I kind of went literal with the eggplant there. But yeah, anyway, and here is the bag I made for it. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite bags. Definitely high in contention for my favorite bag of the year. Yeah, so this is a fun deck. So I wish there were finger cutouts for the box, because it's actually kind of difficult to get out. But anyway, so it's a mix. It's a collage deck, and it is mixed with garden imagery, mixed with cutouts of old D&D magazines, Dungeons and Dragons magazines, which I think is so cleverly done. It's really neat. Yeah, and I tried to mimic that with my bag here, to kind of, like, I went with this, like, burlap fabric and embroidered this sketchy dragon, sketchy as in, like, art style, sketching kind of art style, embroidered that on there, and then backed it with this vegetable fabric. So yeah, I think that turned out really cool. Yeah, so this is and here's the eggplant. Here we go. Here's an eggplant. Yeah, so I'll just flip through a little bit here. There's not a whole lot I want to add to this, because, you know, I could have gone in a totally different direction with that prompt, and I thought about it for a moment, because I was like, ooh, I want to pick the eggplant emoji, and, like, ooh, what deck am I going to pick for the eggplant emoji? What deck's going to be, like, sexual or whatever? And then I was like, oh my god, I should take this. Oh, here's another one. I should take this totally, like, literally, and just pick the Goblins and Gardens. So yeah, so there we go. And oh, this is so cool. It's not a deck I use a lot, but I did use it quite a bit in the beginning of the year. I got it I bought it for myself after Christmas, last Christmas, because I told, no, is that what I did? So I had two decks on my wish list. It was this deck, and it was the Cyberpunk one, the oh my god, Eldritch Overload. I had both of those on my wish list, and I sort of thought to myself, if I only get one of those decks for Christmas, then I'm going to buy the other one right after Christmas. And one of these I bought right after Christmas, and I thought it was this one. But yeah, so I've had it for almost a year now, and oh, this is upside down. Ooh. This whole section is upside down. Here we go. And here's the imagery that's on the box. Really, really cool deck. So yeah, anyway, so that is my pick for the eggplant emoji. And that is the Gardens and Goblins Tarot. There we go. Let me find the lid for that. There we go. All right. All right, well, that is everything. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and thank you, Simply Han, for creating this tag, and I will see you next time. Bye!